Conservatives are holding their conference at the moment. Good morning, Ranvir. So a lot of tough talk.
Well, of course, about a month ago, Dominic Raab was probably preparing a big speech on foreign policy because he, as Foreign Secretary, of course, that's where he thought he'd be today. But of course, there was that rather brutal reshuffle. He sort of ended up, in some people's eyes, perhaps being demoted to this justice brief and being given the Deputy Prime Minister's job. So he's only been in the job about a month. So, of course, his performance will be under some scrutiny because he's getting used to this new idea of justice. It was something he hadn't really thought about perhaps a month ago. And yes, of course, there's lots of new policies there about tagging. And of course, Priti Patel will be speaking today. So the two of them will be juxtaposed quite nicely. And Priti Patel, of course, Home Secretary, she always goes down a storm here at party conference because she really does sort of have that exterior and the interior that the Tory party loves. She is sort of hard. She doesn't flinch from those difficult policy ideas. And there was no doubt that she would be here doing that. And of course, there's been some problems here, really, about the universal credit cut. There's been some real concerns about the standard of living and inflation. And so today, the Tory party really gets back to its core values of law and order. And in some ways, it sort of brings the family back together. Some decent company this morning. Apparently, he's not doing the Today programme either, and possibly not doing Sky News either. So certain programmes. He is doing Times Radio, he's doing BBC Breakfast, he's doing, I think, what's the other one, Anne? LBC. He's doing Anne, I'm just asking my producer. So, yeah, why he's chosen three, we don't quite know, but perhaps it's to do with the level of questioning or the rigour of questioning, who knows. But as you showed earlier, of course, he did do an STV interview, didn't he, which was really quite arresting, you know, the sort of showing of the £20 note and asking what he would spend £20 on, and perhaps that has spooked him a little, and he's perhaps going for other interviews this morning. But he will be passing, he's going to be doing a walkthrough here, I think at about 7:30, and somebody did come along and say, can you clear the area, can you just leave? And we said, no, we're broadcasting actually. So we were asked to sort of completely clear the area, but we won't be doing that. So around 7:30, keep your eyes open. If he wanders past, we will try and grab him for you. He could probably go the long way around and avoid us completely. The last time that we at a party conference where he did do that, he sort of tried to avoid us. And we caught him as he went past, as you might remember. And that was, I can't remember, it was a few years ago, and he promised to come on the programme.
October
He never did.
29.
You come on, he said, I'll come on in 2 weeks. Now, we call something called Indian timing, which is where you say, I'll go in a minute. And an hour here at party conference, I think they will be very, very relieved, I think, that taking to the stage will be Dominic Raab in his new job as Justice Secretary. Of course, he didn't really want this job, but he's now got it. He was Foreign Secretary, of course, and Priti Patel. And there is real issues here. Lots of, you know, sort of Tory commentators, you know, Ian Duncan-Smith, others have spoken out about this universal credit issue, and they are deeply worried about the effect this will have on voters and their standard of living, and indeed just the general idea that they are taking money away from those who need it the most. So today, they are focusing back on law and order, and that goes right back to Tory core values, doesn't it? And so, you know, with Insulate Britain talking about trying to crack down on them, having extra police stop and search powers, so if they suspect you're carrying glue or handcuffs to, you know, handcuff yourself to a railing, they can stop you. And of course, some of the civil liberties groups will be saying, hang on, this is a slippery slope. As we heard, we remember with the Kill the Bill protests about the police being given more powers to stop any kind of protest. This, of course, is particularly about our environmental protests, and travel bans, stopping them from travelling around the country. But I think today, in terms of getting away from the uncomfortable conversation that you just saw there about the £20 note, activists will be very relieved that they're talking about law and order.
Indeed, Ran.
Very good. David Attenborough impression there, Susanna. Yes, I mean, you know he does a lot of running, don't you? When we saw him the other day in a shirt. I mean, who runs in a shirt? But the Prime Minister running in a shirt. I imagine he's preparing for walking through a conference centre when he's trying to avoid cameras, because he was doing an excellent speed walk, a sort of an Olympic-style speed walk. Yes, here we go. I think he is going to do the Today programme, and the Today programme is based right at the back of the building over here. So he's gone that way, possibly to go around the back and go in that way. We're not sure, but it is a bit like a maze here. He did, of course, just do quite a long interview then on the opposing channel. But yes, there you go. Nothing for Good Morning Britain apart from a little wave this morning. Here, delivering on people's promises, build back. Election, they won seats from Labour, believing, you know, those people in those areas believing that there would be better opportunity for those at the lower end of living wage standards. And actually this universal credit thing for many Tory MPs is causing them a huge amount of problem in their own constituencies, and he's hearing that from the backbenches persistently, and that won't go away here. But of course we had Rishi Sunak on the programme yesterday, didn't we, saying actually we have to balance the books and this is the way we're going to do it. But again, you know, that interview with STV, brandishing a £20 note and going, what does this mean to you? I think it tells you a lot.
Yeah, well,
Introducing ASBOs for disruptive protesters like Insulate Britain and Extinction Rebellion, and including new extra stop and search powers for those who might be carrying glue or even handcuffs to tie themselves up to railings. Some are concerned that this might be a slippery slope into banning other kinds of protests, but for many here at the conference, they'll be relieved that the Tory party is getting back to their core values of law and order and away from the debacle over the universal credit cut.